The sound of the lock clicking shut echoed through the empty Pizza Hut. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead as Harper stood alone in the middle of the restaurant, 5 tall figures blocking every exit. Her hands trembled slightly as she gripped the serving tray, the red Pizza Hut uniform hanging loose on her small frame. "We're closed," Ethan Crawford announced, sliding the deadbolt into place on the main door. His 4 friends, all wearing $1,000 Westfield Prep uniforms, spread out in a calculated arc. The designer watches on their wrists probably cost more than Harper made in 6 months. She watched them move with the practiced coordination of predators who'd done this before. "You can't do this!" Harper's voice was small, but there was something else beneath it, something Ethan couldn't quite place. He laughed, the sound sharp in the empty restaurant. "My father owns half this city." Harper's eyes flicked to the clock on the wall. 11:02 p.m. "In exactly 58 minutes, she said quietly, "your father is going to wish he'd never had you." Before we dive deeper into what happens next, if you've ever been cornered by someone who thought their power made them untouchable, hit that like button. Your support helps these stories reach others who need to hear them. And if you have your own story of standing up to bullies, share it in the comments below. We read every single one, and your courage inspires others to find their voice. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with one of the pizza knives scattered across the prep station. Mason, son of the police chief, moved to pull down the blinds on every window. "Privacy," he grinned, his perfectly straightened teeth gleaming under the harsh lights. The parking lot outside was empty, the rest of the strip mall dark. They'd waited until the manager left, until the last customer drove away, until Harper was completely alone. "What do you want?" Harper asked, backing slowly toward the counter. Her sneakers squeaked against the freshly mopped floor, each step calculated, deliberate. "I want you to apologize." Ethan stepped forward, his 6'2" frame towering over her 5'4". "Last week you turned me down, in front of my friends." Nobody says no to Ethan Crawford. His blue eyes, the same cold blue as his father's in all those campaign posters, narrowed with wounded pride. Harper's gaze darted quickly to the security cameras. Black electrical tape covered each lens. She nodded almost imperceptibly, as if she'd expected this. Dylan, whose family owned half the restaurants in the state, shoved a table aside. The crash reverberated through the space. "Oops, clumsy me." Connor pulled out his phone, the latest model that wasn't even released yet, and started recording. "Need some content for the group chat," he laughed. Jake picked up a pizza cutter, testing its weight in his hand sounded like a weapon. Harper reached for her wrist, fingers finding the special smartwatch hidden under her sleeve. It wasn't an Apple Watch or Samsung device that her co-workers wore. This military-grade equipment could record 360-degree audio with directional microphones, connect to satellite networks independently, and featured a panic mode that sent real-time GPS coordinates to 5 emergency contacts. She tapped the watch face 3 times in a specific pattern. "You know," Harper said, her voice still shaking, but her eyes beginning to change. "I've been waiting for you boys for 6 months." Ethan's perfect forehead creased in confusion. "Waiting for what?" "For you to do something this stupid. Alone. No witnesses. Cameras covered." A weak smile played at the corners of her mouth. "Thank you for making everything so much easier." The sleeve of her uniform rode up slightly as she adjusted her stance, revealing a thin scar along her wrist. Not the kind from self-harm, but jagged, violent, the kind that comes from broken glass and twisted metal. Mason noticed it first, his bravado faltering for just a moment. "Are you threatening me?" Ethan laughed, but it sounded forced now. Who are you? Some $7 an hour Pizza Hut employee? Jake lifted the pizza cutter higher. Maybe she needs to learn some respect. Harper didn't flinch. Her breathing had changed, deeper, more controlled. Brookdale Bridge, March 15th, 2 years ago. Black Bentley. Tracked license plate. 11:47 p.m. The color drained from Ethan's face so fast Mason thought he might faint. What are you talking about? Harper's fingers tapped against the counter in a steady rhythm. Not random nervous energy, but something purposeful. Morse code? No, she was counting down. My father's name was Daniel Lawson, she said, never breaking eye contact with Ethan. Civil rights attorney investigating corruption. Do you remember him? The only person who dared to investigate your father? Mason's phone slipped from his suddenly sweaty palm. Wait, Lawson? The lawyer who died in that accident. Murdered, Harper corrected, her voice gaining strength. Car forced off the bridge, staged to look like an accident. But there was a dash cam. There were witnesses. And there was a survivor. She pulled her collar aside slightly, revealing the top of a surgical scar that disappeared beneath her shirt. The kind of scar that spoke of emergency surgeries, of fighting for life on operating tables, of a 16-year-old girl who refused to die. Ethan stumbled backward. You're crazy. My father didn't. Black Bentley. License plate JPL8426. Registered to a shell company. That shell company traced to an account in the Caymans, the same account your father used to receive payments from the Valdez cartel. Each word dropped like a hammer blow, precise, rehearsed, facts she'd probably repeated to herself every night for 2 years. Connor stopped recording. Dylan let go of the chair he'd been holding like a shield. The tough guy act was crumbling fast when faced with actual consequences. You don't have proof, Ethan said, but his voice cracked like the teenager he really was beneath all that privilege. Harper pulled out her phone with deliberate slowness. The lock screen showed a timer counting down. 41 minutes, 23 seconds, 22, 21. Cloud Vault Pro. Harper held the phone up so they could all see clearly. Blockchain storage with automated smart contracts. If I don't enter a specific code every 60 minutes, every file I have, videos, audio recordings, financial documents, witness testimonies, gets automatically sent to the FBI, DEA, and 15 major news outlets simultaneously. Military-grade encryption. Unhackable. Unstoppable once triggered. The numbers continued their relentless countdown. 40 minutes, 58 seconds, 57, 56. You've got 41 minutes, Harper said, her voice cold as winter ice. To decide. Either you let me walk out of here and disappear forever, or what? Ethan whispered, sweat beading on his forehead despite the air conditioning. Or you do something stupid. Touch me, hurt me, kill me like your father killed mine, and watch the entire Crawford empire crumble in 40 minutes. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. Your choice. Harper's phone buzzed. A text message appeared on the screen. Package delivered to CNN, awaiting final confirmation. She made sure Ethan could read it before sliding the phone back into her pocket. Mason stepped away from the group, his hands raised. Ethan, I'm not getting involved in any murder. This is insane. Shut up, Ethan snarled, but his leadership was cracking. She's bluffing. The timer on Harper's phone continued its countdown, now visible on her smartwatch, too. 39 minutes, 12 seconds. Every tick was like a hammer blow to Ethan's composure. Harper stood perfectly still, no longer the scared minimum-wage worker they'd cornered, but something else entirely. Someone who'd spent 2 years preparing for this exact moment. Want to test that theory? Harper asked softly. Your father did. He thought Daniel Lawson was bluffing too. Right up until the moment he ordered his death. Jake dropped the pizza cutter. It clattered on the tile floor, the sound sharp in the suffocating silence. Ethan, man, I think we should go. We're not going anywhere. Ethan's voice cracked with desperation. She can't have. There's no way. Harper's expression remained steady, but her fingers found that scar on her wrist again. I was in the car. Did you know that? 16 years old, coming back from dance practice. Dad picked me up late because he'd been at the office, gathering evidence. He was so excited, said he finally had enough to bring your father down. She paused, eyes distant for a moment. The Bentley came out of nowhere. Rammed us at exactly the right angle, exactly the right speed. Professional. We went through the bridge railing like it was made of paper. The car filled with water so fast. Dad made sure I got out first, pushed me through the broken window. By the time I surfaced, by the time I tried to go back, her voice never wavered, but Connor had gone pale. This wasn't how their Friday nights usually went. They were supposed to be the ones with power, the ones who made others cry. Not standing here listening to a girl describe her father's murder with clinical detachment. 37 minutes, Harper announced. Better make your decision soon. The Pizza Hut felt smaller suddenly, the walls pressing in. What had started as 5 boys teaching a lesson to an uppity employee had transformed into something none of them had signed up for. Dylan was already edging toward the back exit, but Harper noticed. That door's chained from outside, she said calmly. I did it during my break. Like I said, I've been waiting for this. The timer showed 36 minutes 45 seconds when Ethan finally spoke again. His voice had lost all its earlier bravado, reduced to something raw and desperate. What do you want? The truth, Harper said simply. Call your father right now. Speakerphone. Ask him about March 15th. I can't just... 36 minutes, Ethan. Connor and Jake exchanged glances, already calculating their exit strategies. They'd signed up for intimidating a Pizza Hut employee, not becoming accessories to whatever this had become. Mason still had his phone out, but now he was recording everything, his police chief father's training kicking in. Document everything. Create evidence. Protect yourself. With shaking hands, Ethan pulled out his phone. The latest iPhone, of course, in a case that cost more than most people's entire phones. He stared at the screen for a long moment before Harper spoke again. 35 minutes. The FBI Cyber Crimes Unit is particularly interested in the cryptocurrency transfers. Did you know your college fund comes from Bitcoin payments? Untraceable, they thought. They were wrong. That did it. Ethan hit the call button. The phone rang once, twice, before Richard Crawford's smooth politician voice filled the restaurant. Ethan, what are you doing out at this hour? Dad, Ethan's voice cracked. Do you know Daniel Lawson? The silence stretched so long Harper wondered if the call had dropped. When Richard Crawford spoke again, his voice had changed completely. No longer the polished public servant, but something harder, colder. Why are you asking about that? Just, please, Dad. Did you know him? Where are you, Ethan? Who's with you? Harper stepped forward, still maintaining safe distance, but making sure her voice would carry. Hello, Mr. Crawford. My name is Harper Lawson. I believe you knew my father. Another long silence. Then, Ethan, get out of there. Now. Dad, what did you do? Ethan's voice was barely a whisper. Harper pulled out her phone again, swiping to an audio file. Would you like to tell him, or should I play the recording? What recording? Richard Crawford's voice had gone sharp, dangerous. Harper hit play. The sound quality was pristine, every word crystal clear. Richard Crawford's voice from 2 years ago filled the Pizza Hut. Lawson has to die. He has too much. Make it look like an accident. Use the Bentley. I don't care how much it costs, just get it done. Ethan dropped his phone. It hit the tile floor screen first, spider webbing, but still functioning. His father's voice continued to bark demands from the speaker, but Ethan wasn't listening anymore. He stared at Harper with the expression of someone watching their entire world crumble. "You killed someone?" Ethan whispered. "My father is a murderer." "And covered it up with your money," Harper said steadily. $50,000 a year tuition, the cars, the mansion in Aspen, the yacht. All of it paid for with blood money from the Valdez cartel. Connor was already backing toward the main door, forgetting it was locked. Jake had gone completely white. Dylan looked like he might throw up. Only Mason kept recording, his face grim. He understood what this meant. His father might be police chief, but the FBI would supersede local authority. This was going federal. 29 minutes, Harper announced. "Stop," Ethan begged, tears streaming down his face now. "Please, just stop the timer." "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. But now you do," Harper said. "The question is, what are you going to do about it?" Richard Crawford's voice cut through from the dropped phone. "Ethan, do not say another word. I'm sending—" Harper kicked the phone across the floor, out of reach. "Too late for lawyers, Mr. Crawford. Your son has a choice to make." "I can offer you a deal," Harper continued, her voice taking on a professional tone that seemed strange coming from someone in a Pizza Hut uniform. "You turn state's evidence. Testify against your father. He gets 20 to life instead of the death penalty. You get immunity from prosecution." "Betray my father?" Ethan looked lost, younger than his 17 years. "Or I release everything when this timer hits 0. The murder evidence, the cartel connections, the bribery, the cryptocurrency transfers. Your father won't just go to prison. He'll be executed. And you? You'll be tried as an accessory after the fact. Connor's dad, the judge, won't be able to help. Mason's police chief father will have to arrest you himself. The Crawford name will be poison. No college will take you. No job will hire you. You'll lose everything." The timer read 23 minutes 17 seconds. Mason turned his camera on himself. "For the record, I'm recording all of this as evidence. I was not aware of any murder plot. I'm cooperating fully with any investigation." Smart kid, creating his own alibi in real time. Ethan sank into a chair, his head in his hands. The golden boy of Westfield Prep, reduced to a sobbing teenager who'd just learned his whole life was built on blood. "I'll do it," he whispered. "I'll testify." Harper nodded, pulled out her phone, and entered a code. The timer reset to 60 minutes. "But there's one more thing," she said. "Call 911, right now." "Wait!" Ethan looked up, confused. "Because you 5 locked me in here against my will. Threatened me. That's kidnapping and assault. Criminal conspiracy. You're all going to be arrested tonight." She paused. "Except Mason. He's been recording evidence. He gets a pass." The sirens were already audible in the distance. Of course they were. Harper had planned everything down to the second. The timer, the confession, all of it choreographed to perfection by a girl who'd spent 2 years preparing for justice. Dylan made a break for the back door, forgetting Harper's warning. He slammed into it full force, bouncing back. chained shut, just like she'd said. There was no escape. Connor and Jake stood frozen, their privileged worlds crashing down around them. They'd gone from predators to prey in less than an hour. The police cars screeched into the parking lot, lights painting red and blue patterns through the covered windows. Harper calmly walked to the front door and unlocked it. Officers poured in, weapons drawn, responding to what they'd been told was a kidnapping in progress. "Everyone on the ground! Now!" Harper raised her hands slowly. "I'm the victim. Harper Lawson. These 5 men locked me in and threatened me. That one," she pointed to Mason, "has been recording evidence. The others were all complicit." What followed was chaos. Ethan, Connor, and Jake were handcuffed and read their rights. Dylan tried to explain his father-owned restaurants, as if that mattered to federal kidnapping charges. Mason handed over his phone to the officers, his recording intact. Harper stood calmly in the center of it all, no longer the scared Pizza Hut employee, but something else entirely. Someone who'd orchestrated justice with the precision of a chess grandmaster. Detective Morrison, a woman with sharp eyes and graying temples, approached Harper. "Ms. Lawson, we'll need a full statement." "Of course," Harper said. "But you might want to send units to pick up Richard Crawford first. He's probably trying to flee the country as we speak. Check the private airports." The detective's eyes narrowed. "How do you know that?" Harper smiled thinly. "Because I've been tracking his contingency plans for 18 months. Hangar 7 at Westfield Executive Airport. Gulfstream G650, fueled, and flight plan filed for the Cayman Islands. You have maybe 20 minutes before he's in the air." Morrison grabbed her radio, barking orders. Within minutes, units were racing toward the airport. Harper had thought of everything. 2 years of planning, all leading to this moment. As they led Ethan past her toward the police car, he stopped. "How?" he asked. "How did you know we'd come here tonight?" "I didn't," Harper admitted. "I've been ready every night for 6 months. 60 minutes timers, evidence packages prepared, escape routes planned. I knew eventually your ego would bring you here. Men like you always think you're untouchable. That's what makes you predictable." They took Ethan away then, but not before he looked back one more time. The golden boy of Westfield Prep, learning too late that actions have consequences, that privilege isn't armor, that sometimes the people you step on have been planning their revenge all along. It was nearly 1 a.m. when they finally finished processing the scene. Harper sat in the back of an ambulance, not because she was hurt, but because it was protocol. A victim services advocate sat beside her, explaining next steps, court dates, protective orders. Harper half listened, exhausted now that the adrenaline was fading. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, then reconsidered. "Hello? Ms. Lawson." The voice was professional, clipped. "My name is Agent Sarah Chen, FBI. We just arrested Richard Crawford, attempting to board his private jet. He had 2 million in cryptocurrency codes and a fake passport." "Good," Harper said simply. "We'll need you to come in tomorrow for a full debrief. Witness protection is being arranged. The Valdez cartel will know your name within hours." Harper closed her eyes. She'd known this was coming. You couldn't take down corruption this big without consequences. "I understand." "There's more," Agent Chen continued. "We found something in Crawford's plane. Documents. It seems your father wasn't his only victim. There are at least 6 other families who deserve justice. We're going to need your help." Harper thought of her father, of that last moment before the water claimed him, of 2 years living with survivor's guilt and burning rage. "I'll help," she said. "Whatever you need." After the FBI agent hung up, Harper sat in the ambulance doorway, watching the last police car pull away. The Pizza Hut stood empty now, yellow tape across the door, her manager on the way to deal with the mess. She'd probably lose this job. It didn't matter. Harper Lawson, minimum wage Pizza Hut employee, was done. Tomorrow, she'd be someone else, somewhere else, hunting bigger prey. A black SUV pulled into the parking lot. Federal plates. Her ride to a new life. As she stood to leave, she noticed something. A security camera across the street. One she'd made sure wasn't covered. One that had recorded everything from a different angle. She smiled. Always have a backup plan. Agent Chen stepped out of the SUV. "Ms. Lawson, we should go. Mexican license plates have been spotted heading north. The cartel moves fast." Harper took one last look at the Pizza Hut, where she'd served her last slices and her coldest revenge. Then she walked toward the SUV and her uncertain future. Behind her, taped to the inside of the freezer door, where no one would look for weeks, was a note. "For Jessica Lawson, next of kin. Check Cloud Vault account DL Justice complete. Password, Dad's birthday. Everything you need to know about who I really was. Love, your sister." As the SUV pulled away, Harper allowed herself one moment of satisfaction. Richard Crawford was in custody. His son would testify. The Valdez cartel was exposed. 6 more families would get justice. Her father could rest. But then Agent Chen's phone rang, and Harper heard her side of the conversation. "What do you mean there's a leak? Inside the FBI? They know about the witness?" Harper's hand found that scar on her wrist again. The hunt wasn't over. It was just beginning. And somewhere in the shadows, someone new was watching, planning, waiting. Justice, Harper was learning, was not a destination, but a journey. And hers had only just begun. "Change of plans," Agent Chen said, making a sharp turn. "We're going dark. Someone inside burned your safe house location." Harper nodded, unsurprised. "I have contingencies." "Of course you do," Chen muttered. As they disappeared into the night, one thought echoed in Harper's mind. A promise and a warning to anyone else who thought power made them untouchable. The scared 16-year-old girl who'd crawled from that sinking car was gone, replaced by someone forged in grief and sharpened by purpose. Every sleepless night, every minimum wage hour, every moment of planning had led to this transformation. Justice for my father was just the beginning. The real war starts now.